Hey, welcome to another video. Well, we're rapidly approaching the end of the year 2025, and I can't say that I had a down year, but I could say I had a different year in the way I've approached my photography. I still photographed a lot of my family. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, you know that I do that a lot. I did make one trip with my wife out to Banff National Park. And if you've never been, I would say it's highly recommended. So you'll see a few images from Banff. I can't say that these are necessarily my quote unquote best images of the year. I'd say they're a cross between the best and my favorites, because most of you probably don't care to see images of my grandkids, but there's going to be a few of them thrown in there. I could have done 20 just of them, but I know that wouldn't go over well with a video, so there's going to be 2 or 3 of them in there, mostly playing sports. But anyway, let's get to it. The first image I wanted to show you is one from Banff. I might say it's the best image that I took this year. Hard to say. However, the reason why I wanted to show this one in particular is there's a story behind it. If you look off into the distance and see that bridge, now we had gotten there a little bit before sunrise, and just as the tip of that mountain started to turn a little pink, a little orange from the sun coming up, a van full of tourists, of course I was a tourist, but a van full of tourists showed up, and they all walked over onto the bridge and started taking selfies just as the light was coming up and I wanted to get my image. So my wife went over and asked if they could kindly just get off the bridge for a minute so that I could get my shot. I mean, we'd been there for a half hour, 45 minutes waiting, and they did. They were very respectful. So they came over and started asking me what I was doing and the whole thing as I was trying to get this particular image. As you can see, then my wife took one image of them all standing around me, and the one woman, I think she's got the white jacket on, she kept putting her phone right in front of my camera lens, and I was trying to do some long exposures to smooth out that water a little bit and get maybe a little bit better reflection, and she kept putting her phone in front of my camera lens, and finally I had to say, can you please not do that, please? So I think part of the reason why it was maybe my best image and my favorite image maybe was just because I know the struggle I had to get that. Now, it was taken with my Nikon Z8 and the 24-120 f4 lens. I can't remember if I had a polarizer on there or not. I may have had a polarizer on it. And I also, that is one shot. I did not blend several images. It's one shot. Now, I did change the color slightly in that mountaintop. You know, I brought out the mountain color just a little bit more, but for the most part, that is the image. There's no other AI, there's no other nonsense going on in the photo. That was the way it looked the morning I took that shot. This next image is from a pretty famous sea turtle restoration place down here in South Florida, in Jupiter, Florida. And they had a tank full of jellyfish. I believe this was taken with my Nikon Z8 and the Voigtlander 50mm f2 Apo lens. In case you're new to my channel, I've mentioned many times that's probably my favorite lens, probably my best lens. It's not the one I use the most. However, I think it's my favorite lens. The next 2 images were also taken with the Voigtlander 50 f2 Apo lens and the Nikon Z8. The first one is a little bit of street photography that I was doing, and the second one was of my grandson, who very rarely will give you a real smile, and in that one he did, and that's why it was included. I didn't do as much infrared photography as I had the year previous. One of my goals was to start a project doing infrared platinum prints, and I thought this one might make a decent platinum print, but so far I haven't been that excited about it as a platinum print. but that's why it was included. It's one of the few decent infrared images that I had taken throughout the year. I wouldn't include this image normally in any kind of video, except for the fact that, again, there's a little bit of a story behind it. I've mentioned a few times that I live right near a small airport, and planes like this go right over my house all the time. And unfortunately, this one was flying a little bit too low over my house, and I saw it, and I thought, man, that doesn't look right. And sure enough, only about 5 or 6 blocks away, it crashed right at the lake where I go and photograph the birds. And the only reason I wanted to show you that image was the fact that the 2 people who were in that plane survived. Here's another image taken with the Voigtlander 50mm f2 Apo. I just kind of liked the image, so I thought I would include it. I thought that the colors in this particular image were pretty striking, and that's what you can get off that Voigtlander lens, so I thought I would include it. This is an image of a young heron. He's about a year old now. I see him around occasionally. He's pretty much in the same spot when I do see him, and he's begun to get a little bit more used to me. This image was taken with the Nikon Z8 and the Tamron 70-300. I use that lens sometimes, and I use the Nikon 24-120 for the majority of my bird images. With Henry, I used the 24-120 a lot more because I could get a lot closer to him. With this young bird, he's not quite as used to me yet, so I tend to use the 70-300 because I stand back a little bit further. Here's 2 images of my grandson playing sports throughout the year. They're 2 of my favorite images that I've taken all year. Both were taken with the Nikon Z8 and that same Tamron 70-300. The lens, I have such a love-hate relationship with it because it's a little bit slow to focus at times, and so there are times I do miss the shot. However, it's a nice light lens that I can carry around, and so I take the advantages with the disadvantages and use that lens quite a bit when it comes to shooting sporting events, at least for my grandkids. Here's a few more from Banff National Park. This one here is Pado Lake. This was about a 7-image panorama. The next one is from Cascade Ponds. It's actually on the other side of the pond from where I took that very first image. Kind of like that one. And this is one of the more iconic shots from up the main street there in the town of Banff. A lot of people take this image, but when in Rome. This next one, I wasn't sure if I was going to include it or not. It's a very recent image. I just took it a few days ago, and I posted it on a different photo website, and somebody said, well, nobody likes seeing pictures of birds' butts, but other people liked it. I kind of go back and forth, but I thought I would include it, and if anybody wants to leave a comment about it, like, dislike, whatever, please let me know. And the last one, hey, I know who my audience is. I know who's watching this video. So this one's for you. Happy New Year, and I wish you all the best for a wonderful 2026. And until next time, I'll see you in the new year.